Okay, let's get started. This is Friday, and therefore we will do a Rashi from the 6th Aliyah, and I will also try to sneak in a Rashi from the 7th Aliyah, so Shabbos is not left out. Just share with you the Aliyah for today. Um, Picking up where we left off yesterday in the 6th Aliyah, we finally have the brachos that are actually given from Yitzchak to Yaakov and then to Esav. Before this Aliyah, we had the whole encounter, the strange encounter between Yitzchak and the person who he thinks is Esav. He says, Akol kol Yaakov, v'yadayim midei Esav. He's a little bit confused. He hears the call of the voice of Yaakov, but he feels him and he feels like Esav and he's confused. But he's reassured by Yaakov that Yaakov is really Esav, and then he goes ahead and gives him the brachos. Much to discuss about that incident and why Yaakov has to trick him into giving these brachos, but that's a topic for another time. In the end of the day, he believes him or he doesn't believe him, whatever you understand in the meaning of these psukim, but he goes ahead and gives the brachos. He says, V'yiten l'cha Elokim mital hashamayim u'mishmanei haaretz. God should give you bounty and God should give you wealth, and God should give you dominion over your enemies. Yishtachavu l'cha lu'umim. All the nations of the world should bow down to you. Hevei gvir la'achecha v'yishtachavu l'cha b'nei imecha. Even your family members, your cousins, everyone will bow down to you. You will be subservient to you in some way. You will be the reigning supreme power of the time, of the area, of your family. And then he ends with this following statement: Orerecha arur umevarchecha baruch. Those who curse you will be cursed, and those who bless you will be blessed. Similar in some ways to the blessings given to Abraham, that the nations of the world will be blessed through you. That means those who bless you will be blessed. But here it's a little bit of a different phrasing. Orerecha aruch umevarchecha baruch. Those who curse you will be cursed. Those who bless you will be blessed. On the surface, it's a very nice aspiration, a very nice blessing that Yitzchak gives to Yaakov over here. Rashi points out, though, that the order of the way it's phrased here is a little bit strange. He says, Ubilam hu omer mivarchecha baruch v'orerecha arur. In Bilam's curses / blessings, what he says to the Jewish people is the same idea, that those who bless us will be blessed, those who curse us will be cursed, except he reverses the order. He starts by saying mivarchecha baruch and then says v'orerecha arur. Whereas here Yitzchak first says orerecha arur u'mivarchecha baruch. Now Rashi has a brilliant statement here, in which he explains the reverse order between Bilam and Yitzchak. He says that the reversal of the order was actually just reflective of their own character and of the place that they were coming from, their own philosophy, their own outlook, their own life experiences. And he says, Hatzadikim, tchilasan yisurin vesofan shalva. The way of tzaddikim in the world, the way of righteous people in the world is often that they start out with suffering. They start out with troubles. They start out with distress. And in the end, they reach a level of peace, of tranquility, of shalva. However, Rishayim, Tchilas and Shalva v'Sofan Yisurim. Normally, Rishayim, those who are wicked, they may enjoy a very, lovely, plentiful, peaceful, wealthy type of life, spoiled type of life in the beginning, but in the end, they end up regretting it. In the end, they end up full of distress and troubles and downfall. So he says that's the character of tzaddikim and rishayim. And that's why their brachos, because they emanate from the people that they are reflective of their own mindsets. When Yitzchak, a tzaddik, gives a bracha, he says, your enemies, those who curse you will be cursed, those who bless you will be blessed, because in his life experience, distress always comes before blessing. That was his experience in life, and therefore he's just reflecting that back in terms of his bracha. Whereas Bilam, who was a Rasha, whose life experience was Tchilas and Shalva, V'Sofan Yisur, and he first starts with contentment and ends with distress, when he gives his blessing, the order is reflective of his life experience. Mevarchecha baruch v'orerecha arur. Aside from explaining the order in these two psukim, which I think is an important thing that Rashi does over here, trying to explain a little bit to us what's going on in this discrepancy of language, I'm more interested in the point Rashi makes, not in terms of the order of brachos between Bilam and Yitzchak, but the point he makes, which is that oftentimes righteous people end up chilas and yisurim v'sofan shalva. They start with distress and they end with blessing, whereas Rishayim are the exact opposite. I think it's so reflective of life and of what we see around us, that oftentimes people have distorted values. They end up living in the moment and maybe enjoying it, but in the end, it never turns out right. It always leads to their downfall. Righteous people sometimes go through difficulties. They have to sacrifice. They have to go through difficult moments because they're so determined to get to the place that they want to get. They're so determined to live the life that they live. And what makes them greater is the fact that they're able to endure that path. They're able to endure the Yisurim. They're able to endure the challenges that come their way. But in the end of the day, it's so worth it. In the end of the day, they come to a place of Shava, whether that means physical Shava, spiritual, emotional Shava, whatever that means. They come out in the end of life feeling satisfied, feeling tranquil, feeling content with everything they had done, despite the challenges, because they had done the right thing. And in the end, that leaves them in a place of Shava. A Rasha may enjoy different moments of life. They may skirt challenges, but in the end of the day, they feel awful about themselves. So funny, Yisurim. They know that their life didn't amount to anything. They know that their life didn't go in the right direction. They know that they can't live in contentment because they wasted all those years and all those times and experiences on things that they shouldn't have. And that's something we should all aspire to, the life of tzaddikim, the long-term perspective, the long road, the road in which, yeah, sometimes there's bumps and sometimes there's Yisurim. But if we plow forward in terms of living the life that we believe is right, then Sofan Shava. In the end, we can only come out winners and only come out ahead. One more Rashi, which I think is really, really interesting. This is from the 7th Aliyah. Okay, where is it here? Let me quickly find it. Sorry. Okay, here it is. Okay. In the beginning of the 7th Aliyah, Vayishlach Yitzchak et Yaakov vayelech padena Aram el Lavan ben Betuel Arami achi Rivka em Yaakov ve'esav. Yitzchak sends Yaakov away from his brother, wants to kill him. He sends him to Lavan's house, and it gives the lineage of Lavan ben Betuel Arami achi Rivka. So that we understand. We need to know who Lavan is. He's the son of Betuel. He's the brother of Rivka, and that's where Yitzchak is sending him. But why does it add on these words, Em Yaakov ve'esav? Why does it say that Rivka was the mother of Yaakov and Esau? We know that. Here, the point of saying the lineage is to tell us who Lavan is. Lavan is ben Besuel Harami Achi Rivka. But why does it add the descriptor and say Rivka is Aim Yaakov Esau? Of course she's Aim Yaakov Esau. She's the main component of the whole story that led to this point. She's the mother of these two children. She takes Yaakov and she makes him dress up in Esau's clothes and get the brachos. Of course she's their mother. Why does it say that here? Now listen to Rashi's answer. Aim Yaakov Esau. Eini Yodea Ma Ba Ze Lelamdenu. I have no idea what these words come to teach us. It's very interesting. People have done studies on Rashi and Chumash. I think there's something like, I don't know, dozens of times where Rashi mentions this phrase, Eini Yodea Ma Ba Ze Lelamdenu. I have no idea what this meant to teach us. What Rashi is telling us here is that these words jump out at us. They're curious. I don't know what they're doing here, but I don't necessarily have an answer to explain it. And what an empowering thought. And I wanted to leave you with that as you go into Shabbos. That even Rashi, in his magnum opus here, in his commentary to the Torah, was not afraid to say, Eini Yodea ma zeh ba zeh lelamdenu. He wasn't afraid to have that humility to say, sometimes I just don't know. And sometimes that's an important lesson in of itself, to be able to admit that we don't know. But second to that, there's another lesson in Rashi's statement, which is sometimes the questions are more important than the answers. He felt it necessary. Yes, his humility dictated that he wasn't afraid to say, I don't know. But he was also motivated to add that line into his sefer, into his commentary, not only to show us that humility is important, but also to show us that it's worth raising the question of what are these words doing here, even if you don't necessarily have an answer. It's the questions that are important. And if you contemplate those questions over the course of days and years and a lifetime, sometimes they lead to the answers, and sometimes they don't, but it's still worth contemplating them. Wish you all a wonderful Shabbos ahead.